that we got is this one came in, which I thought might be kind of a cool topic, which is car-free living on Oahu. We're gonna. The question is about Oahu, but I want to go across all the islands. So the topic is car-free living. So here's the question, and this comes from Richard from Queens in New York, and he says, "I'm 61 years young, and my wife and I are thinking of relocating to Oahu, possibly the Hawaii Kai area. I love swimming, preferably in a pool. Dude, you're in Hawaii. You don't go in a pool. You go in the ocean. Okay. And bike. I love swimming, preferably in a pool, biking and lifting weights. I would love to live car free. Do you recommend Hawaii Kai or possibly downtown Honolulu? We have visited Oahu twice and used the bus for exploring. So let's talk about. So Scott, why don't you kind of get us started with a direct answer? Hey, if Richard wants to live car free, what would you say? Where would you say would be a good place for Richard to live? Is Hawaii Kai a good spot, or others? What would you recommend? That's number one. And number two, is car free living something that's how could you do car free living? There's a lot of options now. The world is different. It's not the way it was like 20 years ago. And then I want to hear from Heidi on that possibility, and then from Dylan. So, Scott, why don't you open it up over here and let us know what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, car-free living in New York versus Honolulu is going to be vastly different. I mean, obviously, you're going to have way more public transportation options in New York than you would here in Honolulu. And then if you look at where's the best place, I mean, anytime you're in the metro urban core component, you're going to have everything closer to proximity to you. It's going to be more cost effective to be able to use public transportation or walk or bike wherever you need to go, and your resources are going to be closer. I mean, you could do it in Hawaii Kai, but think about it. Hawaii Kai is probably 40,000 residences, so it's much more of kind of a micro. I don't want to call it a city, micro town or community. So you're going to have less options there if you're doing something without a car, and you'd probably end up having to Uber or take the bus more often to come into Honolulu every once in a while. You can definitely do it, and I would probably say kind of the Poly Highway cutoff towards the east would be the best. But that urban core stretch is going to give you the least hassle, the least amount of time having to deal with the transportation component, and how they're designing areas now, especially Kakaka, but in most major urban centers, is commercial space on the ground. You have basically micro communities or micro hoods within these locations. So it's commercial space on the ground, and you're going up more vertical above it. And to get to the point where a lot of people don't really leave their neighborhood, you'll have everything that you need in your neighborhood. So yes, it's doable. I would say it's much easier in Honolulu.
Honolulu, because of the urban, I think a combination of things, right? The public transportation, the urban corridor, all that kind of stuff, I think is a big part. I would add in, Richard, it depends if you're retired or if you're going to be working. I'm assuming that if you're working, then all bets are off, right?
Go ahead, yeah, and healthcare. I mean, if you're needing specialists, you're probably going to want to be more in the urban core so you can be closer to it.
Yeah, exactly. But Hawaii Kai is definitely a little self-contained little community of its own. It's even got it doesn't have a hospital per se, but it's got there's a couple of medical offices, etc. That could work. All right, Heidi, give us the update. Not update, but if I want to live car free in Maui, what would I need to do, or live, or is it even possible? What would you say?
For most people, they're probably going to want to have a car on Maui. You could live car free if you were in town, like in Lahaina town, and you could bike around and walk. There also is a bus system that will take you to the other side of the island. It works great as long as you have the time and schedule to be able to get on the bus when it's going and come back when it's coming back. I would say it's not super convenient, but it is possible. It's also possible to have a scooter and get around a lot of places on a scooter.
Yeah, but if I was 61 years young, I'm not sure I'd be wanting to do the scooter thing. I'm not too sure about the scooter. Heidi, have you tried the Uber thing on Maui? Are there like enough Uber? Like on Oahu, there's a fair amount of Uber drivers. You can get an Uber ride almost like right away, like any urban area. Have you tried for Uber on Maui? If it's plentiful or not?
Um, yeah, there is Uber. It tends to be a long wait, especially at peak times. So it would be a better idea to schedule some kind of driver or schedule a ride in advance. Um, I mean, living here, it's easier for me to just call somebody and ask for a ride rather than call Uber. So
There you go.
I haven't used it a lot, but there is Uber and Lyft here.
There is Uber and Lyft. Yeah, call the fiance. Get the fiance. You know, he's got to earn his keep, right? So give me pick me up. Dylan, is it even possible to consider being carless on the Big Island?
No. It's a big island. Everything is spread out. We have tons of hills because the island is young and there's a lot of elevation changes. It would be, in my opinion, very difficult to live car free. It'd be very inconvenient. And then you would give up your ability to enjoy the stuff that makes living on the Big Island worthwhile. A lot of the great beaches are a ways away from town. Getting to the national park and the volcano. I mean, you would limit your ability to, I think, enjoy the natural beauty of the Big Island. And so, I think that would be a not worth trading off, in my opinion. And let's not forget, because I love data, Hawaii is the 6th deadliest state in terms of for pedestrians. So, well, we're not a pedestrian friendly state by any means. So, if you come from a big city and it's not really an issue, it's different here. I mean, there's not a lot of sidewalks. I guess I don't know if drivers are bad here or what, but we have.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
We're always in the top 10 for pedestrian deaths, per capita every year. So.
I did not know that. That's interesting. Sad, but interesting. And Patrick,
but I do attribute some of that to we've all seen this, right? For whatever reason, when people go on vacation, they lose their mind, right? And they just walk into a busy street thinking that they're on vacation, so everybody's going to stop. And half the time, that's probably why people get hit. But if you go through Waikiki, you see the most aloof people you've ever seen in your life when it comes to pedestrian safety, I feel like. So
that is I mean, of course it's true, right? Tourists, we just tourists, the brain gets shut off and we have no idea what we're doing and where we're going. I feel that way when I go on vacation at certain places. What's interesting, you mentioned about the street crossing in Waikiki. So I was born in Chicago. So when I first came here, I was blown away by the culture in that people in Hawaii stop at intersections and wait for the light. And Scott's nodding his head, right? People in Hawaii, we actually stop and wait for if we see the hand, we'll stop. If we see we'll wait till the walking guy shows up and then we'll walk. Whereas in Chicago, it's like, just run, man. Just go for it. It kind of is a side note. I remember one time I was in Chicago and I was driving down Wacker Drive, which is just outside. It's in the financial district, downtown Chicago, super crowded and everything. And it's rainy. And I'm jamming through, got all the green lights, and in Chicago it's like, get as fast as you can, right? So I'm kind of flying through, and there's pedestrians running in front of me as I'm speeding down this busy intersection, downtown Chicago, urban core. There's people running back and forth across the street. So that was remarkable. So why we have the high rate of pedestrian deaths, I don't understand, but